Okay, so now we're taking off these joysticks. We're going to replace the grommet. This is a new grommet, and these things get so rusted that the rubber actually comes detached from this metal plate. So right now we just took off this C-clip. We're pulling this off. I made a mark here and a mark here so that I know what direction it goes. We don't actually have to disconnect any of the wires. We're going to take this off, and now you can see this is all rusted. This is going to be really difficult, but you see how that broke? So that has snapped away. So now we're going to take this off, and then we can spray some WD-40 in here and let this break loose. So we got to get this rod to go straight through down, because on the underside is the joystick ball, and it can only go downwards, it can't come up. So that's what we're going to work on next. Alright, so like I said, we're going to spray WD-40, and we have to let this penetrate to loosen the rod from this bushing. And this actually broke from trying to wiggle those two loose without this being sprayed. So all these buttons are going to have to come out to be able to put a new control panel overlay on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark these. I'm going to make this number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, now I'm also marking these that have the arrows, so I know what was the top. And then I'm going to put a piece of tape on it like I did this, and also make an arrow going down so I know they're on the same spot. So now we're taking off the buttons, and I'm putting it all right back on. We're actually gonna soak these, take these apart. I'll show you that when I get to that. You see, I'm numbering this, tagging this to the number here. I don't have to mark every one, because as long as the red, there's number 2, we'll know that's number 1, so on and so forth. I'm tagging just one of each of the 2. Okay, so on the first one, this is like welded back on there. So we had to cut this off to get this to be able to drop down through this hole. And now we still need to relieve this bushing from the rod, and this thing hasn't moved. We've been soaking this thing and still not working. So next what we're going to do is we're going to try to heat it up, and we have to get that off of there because the new one, it's all part of that. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to cut a line here with the hacksaw through, and then that'll open up. We can pry it to be able to release this from here. Alright, so my dad cut this off, and once you cut that, we pried that open, and you can see now we were able to remove this. So if you ever get one of these that does not want to remove, now we're going to grind this, buff this off, try to get this to clean back up. But this will come off now. And the new one will have its own, we'll have a new bushing. So the buttons had been soaking for several hours. We took them all apart, and they've been soaking in a solution, and we're going to rinse them off, and that gets all the dirt and grime off of them. Alright, so we have all the controls out, but this one will not come out. And it's rusted. We can't heat it up because we still have the joystick underneath this plastic, so that'll melt. So now what he's going to do is he's going to hacksaw a tiny little line to act as if it's a, like a flat screwdriver that we can put in the end and hopefully try to hold that in there and loosen it up, because we can't grip it because it's a carriage bolt. Right here you can see the material has been removed. We heated it up. We have a commercial grade heat gun. And now we're still left with this glue. So this is where a lot of the work comes into play. Trying to get this all off. Okay, we're outside. We got this all sanded smooth. Now along this edge here, there's a couple places that the molding got banged up. So we're gonna put some Bondo, and I'm gonna take off this T-molding here. And what you want to do is keep it so that you have the right length for the next one. Like so. Okay, we're at the next step, and we are going to, what we did was we did a little bit of body work. There was a couple, people playing on the edge. This is the front face. So we did some repair work there. This is all sanded smooth, there's zero glue. This is actually really good enough right now, but I'm so particular. I'm too particular for my own good sometimes. But anyway, I'm going to prime this, and actually I'm even gonna paint it black around this perimeter. And then that way it's gonna be really smooth for the overlay. And then what I did here for the controls, we tried to get this to be as clean as possible, but they were so badly rusted that it just is so pitted. So I taped off, because there's a ledge right here. You can see it steps a little bit thinner. Taped off the ball. I'm gonna prime it. I first use an etching primer, because you need this on metal that is raw, it has no paint on it. You can't just paint straight on it. You can, but you're wasting your time. It's not going to adhere correctly. So these have been sanded. You use the etching primer, and then we will spray it with the same black. Okay, so we have all 4 of those. So basically, after I paint it, I'm gonna hold it here, spray it, and then I can just set them in here, like that. Now these are the bolts, the screws that hold the joysticks in. These are kind of rusted and screwed up looking. So I'm going to do the same thing with these. Now I could have bought these new, but I think they'll look actually pretty nice black. So I'm going to prime these with the etching primer and spray them. So we got the 4 controllers and all 16 of these for the control panel. The primer is dry, and now we're going to sand this down prior to painting it. I'm going to use 400 grit. You could use 600. I wouldn't go any finer than 4 because it's going to be too abrasive. And then for these, I'm just going to use a 3M scuff pad, because these don't need anything to be smooth. They just need to be sanded a little bit for adhesion. Okay, now we have the surface painted. As you can see, it's a smooth surface. This is really not completely necessary, but I went overboard. I want a nice smooth surface, because this is like the focus point of the machine. You're standing right over it. I have these all painted, the screws painted. Now it's not going to stay this shiny. This will dull down to a satin finish. So now this is just going to dry, and we'll be ready for the application of the overlay. Hey guys, how's it going? Today I want to show you a quick application of the CPO. Now I sprayed this. Usually they're not sprayed, they're just a raw MDF or a particle board, depending on what machine it was. So I actually primed and painted this. And now I'm going to go over this real lightly with a 1500 sand grit. And I'm basically just gonna denib it, they call it, which is any little pieces of dirt. I'm just gonna break them off the surface. I'm not going crazy with it. I'm just trying to get them off. That's more than sufficient. Next step, I'm going to glass clean it. So I'm just using your regular all-purpose glass cleaner. I'm just wiping this off to get the dust residue left from me just sanding it. You can see there. I don't really like to spray the surface because then you get excessive amount that you don't really need. It's just basically damp. Okay. Go with another dry one. Now this rag is lint free. Alright, so what we're going to do right now, I'm just visually eyeing up the center. Left to right. I'm looking at the overlap and getting about the same amount. I have a little bit of overlap there. So I'm happy with this spot. I'm going to actually clamp this in place. All right. So it's now going to hold it there. And clamp this side. Try to get in as far as you can so it's more biting. Now it's such a close amount that it's probably, you know, you could just visually look at this. I got about 1/8 of an inch there. Same there. I'm still covered here. I'm overlapped on both sides. I'd say about 3/16. So see, these two clamps hold that from this thing shaking or moving. So now we're ready to apply the first half. We're just going to pull a portion of it off. You want to cut this, you don't want to tear that. Make sure that's wiped off. You can use this kind of squeegee. You can use this kind of squeegee. I use this for when I do bigger stuff. So for now, this is what I'm going to use. I'm just going to lay it down. Now this vinyl has a bubble-free technology, so it's really user-friendly. It's virtually impossible for you to get air bubbles. You don't want to apply this wet. It's not necessary. Gonna dust this side off again, pull it up halfway, and just don't let it touch until you're ready to go down. So you just work it a little by little. It's that easy. Once I have the main one on there, I'm gonna use this with a little more pressure. Okay. Next part is critical. You want a brand new blade. This is a brand new X-Acto. A nice sharp edge so you don't get a chattery looking cut. Now basically I'm just letting the blade follow the edge, slightly tilting it inwards. And it's just following the edge really nice. Now this is why it's critical for you to do the body work and have this edge nice and square. Otherwise, you don't have anything for the blade to follow. Plus, you're gonna see it. I don't care what material you use or what it is. It's just gonna look like crap. Okay, so now you have it completed. Ready to go, looks like new. The Simpson. This is a polycarbonate material that's super rigid, really durable. You can see the surface is really smooth, nice. To me, this has got to look as good as it was when it was brand new. The art is very clean. This was vectorized. So that's going to do it for you guys. Thank you very much. Okay, so these are the new bushings that we talked about earlier. And these are going to be placed in here like this. So this has been all cleaned up. These have been picked. Alright, I have the paper off of these. You can see that these are all sprayed black. That looks a lot better than the rusty studs. These have all been cleaned the best that they can. A lot of this is just age, but it's a very good functioning, clean button now. You know, if I wanted to be fanatical, maybe down the road I may replace these, because this edge here, you can't get it perfectly clean. It's just due to the age, but it's functional very well. So all these have been cleaned and put back together, and we're going to start reassembling the control panel. Okay, we're here now. We're about to put the new buttons, well, not new, but the clean buttons back in. The control panel has been done. Now, if you remember earlier, I had numbered this 1, 2, everything has been numbered. So now let's take this first one, for instance. This says number 2. It's going to go right here. And number 4 would go here. And 3. So that's the process we're going to do now, is put this all back. Okay, so I have these that go over the joysticks, but a couple of them are a little screwed up. You see, this is warped. This one has a cut in it. So I have this black plastic. It's a hair thicker, but it's PVC black. And we just use the hole saw. You can see the holes down here. And we're basically going to make them. We're going to pop these out and then re-drill the center larger. And we're just going to make our own covers. Okay, so I'm on the last joystick. And I wanted to show you guys, I don't know if you can see right here. There's a washer that has to be in line. And then a spring. The spring goes in here, right? And then this bushing, this part wants to go down. So you gotta drop this down here like this. And the reason for that, when this joystick moves around, if we look at another one here, from the edge, see the narrow part? It actually clears the area to give you the range of motion that you need for the joystick. If you guys have watched my episodes on restoring my Simpsons, you would know that my dad was a big part. He's helped me do a lot of the body work and stuff. And I thought it would be cool to have him play this and show you guys. He's never played video games, so I wanted to record him playing the Simpsons, which I thought was really cool. So I got the marquee done, the control panel's finally finished. Marquees, the Translit marquees that I sell. And then the control panel is the one I just showed me applying the other day. I finally have that all on. I ended up painting all the bolts black, and pretty much it's done at this point. The only thing I didn't do yet was paint the back door. Hello there, we are here ready to take my Simpson's machine to my house. I've got it completed finally, and we're about to do the move. About to load it up onto my trailer. I'm gonna set this bad boy up on here. And here we go.